That was like, close that door. This other one was open. I felt light years away from Larry. There would be flooding, and then there'd be yelling, and there'd be marathoning, and there'd be not sleeping, shaking all the time, all those kinds of trauma symptoms. If not for his level of curiosity and just like, who is this person and what happened to her? I had to get to the root. Something's coming up for healing, and there is something better on the other side. Larry and I had been married for 18 years. And the way we tell the story is we kind of had just gone into our own separate corners. And I had a part-time job with a friend of mine traveling. And when I was traveling, that's when I met the affair partner. There's a line in my recovery material that says it's like a cattle prod jolted into our dead and dissipated beings. Like there was just a jolt of something that was very different. And I know now that also based on a childhood abuse incident and other things, I could not tell the difference between fear and arousal. And not that I wanted to exit my marriage, because I didn't. But I needed to exit the way of life. I needed to exit my mindset. I needed to exit my understanding of God. I needed to do, it had to be different. Once it came out, he was shocked, super hurt, confused. You know, like we say, the wayward gets better first because they unload this burden of guilt. Because I'd been so contained, not made a lot of connections in our church or community, that I was like, I'm tired of that. I'm not living that way anymore. Tell whoever you want to tell. Get me a big red shirt, put an A on it. The pendulum swing was just from here to here. Over the course of several months, Larry lost 30-something pounds. I was already pretty thin because I was riding my bike. I wasn't eating. I was doing all kinds of stuff to manage the anxiety that I felt. We'd be having conversations because talking about it was good. But then somebody, there would be flooding, and then there'd be yelling, and there'd be marathoning, and there'd be not sleeping, shaking all the time, all those kinds of trauma symptoms. Larry pretty much led the charge on finding help. If not for his level of curiosity and just like, who is this person and what happened to her? Like he wanted to know why and what was going on. I don't know how he didn't just leave, but he kept trying to find help for us. So I started going to some 12-step meetings. He took me to see the elders at the church. Over the course of the first 10 months, he found 3 places. And then the second place said, hey, have you talked to Rick Reynolds at Affair Recovery? And so then Larry followed up on that. They listened. There wasn't demonization of any party. I believe they could help us figure out why this happened. We decided to sign up for EMS weekend. By the time we left, I was able to tell Larry, I know that something is really wrong, but I don't think it's you. And if you can hang in there, then I'm willing to find out. And I'm telling you, he hung in there. 2.5 years, he hung in there. Because I had to get, this is just for me, it's not for everybody, but I had to get to the root, to the why, and why then, and like a 5-year-old, and why was that, and why did I feel that way, and why did that happen? As I learned what I'd done in the past that wasn't working, but I kept doing it and was able to practice doing it differently, and got to observe things being different, feeling known, being willing to share with Larry or share with people in my group. And in community and in group work, we could hear each other. But more than being able to hear each other, we could hear other people. At the weekend, another couple sharing, and what Larry had been trying to share with me finally sank in. I could see what he was doing for our family and ways he had tried to connect with me that I completely missed, that I hadn't been able to see before. And without that being reflected to me in a group, I'm not sure how the glasses through which I was seeing Larry would have ever been broken, and vice versa. And I was like, okay, this is better. This is a better way to live. Just a view of life in general changed. Accepting that I can't have all the information, but God has all the information. And if he's always acting in my best interest, even if something seems like it's not working, I don't need to go find another answer. I need to see it. his guidance. I want to seek his guidance. Because of that, I've learned how to pause and sink in and consult the voice of guidance and grace. And that helped me actually in reconnecting with Larry. God knew it was in my best interests, that's who I was partnering with in life. And why would I doubt that? That was a big piece of healing. Well, I can't change my past. I can have a different relationship with it. That's my story. It doesn't mean that when I look back, there's not remorse. That actually increases over time. The more clarity that I have about what choices I made, the level of sadness actually, it's not debilitating. It's not the same as shame and guilt and depression. It's just a level of heaviness and sadness and remorse, awareness of what my choices cost other people. And that bleeds right into the level of gratitude, the bravery others had to continue relationship with me and the grace that I was shown. I wouldn't take a single day before this one, not one. Like today is the best day and tomorrow will be the best day. And I really believe that. And where we are today, we're both coming to it as a place that it's where we grow. We have the best promise of sharing love with others if we show up together. There are always hard things that keep coming up. The two things that keep me going are, one is a statement called "It's coming up for healing." You know, if something feels just so incredibly deep and painful and like I can't breathe, something's coming up for healing and there is something better on the other side. Like the worst thing I can do is run from it or stuff it down. Just face it, because I am not alone. I have my recovery community. I have God. I have a family. Thankfully, I have my husband. Like I'm not alone to face this. In early recovery, it's hard 99.9% of the time. And it's just a matter of choices. You know, sometimes it's one step forward, 15 steps back, but am I still putting one step in front of the foot in front of the other? And it's a burst of a new awareness or a new insight or a new miracle that you see in your life or somebody else's. That thing where you do something differently and you get this amazing outcome. That's what keeps me going. Don't quit before the miracle happens, you know, or otherwise you don't get to see the miracles.